In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use Claude to create custom add-ins in Fusion 360. In my previous tutorial, I showed you how to use the Autodesk Assistant, but I found that there can be some issues with that, and after an update, the add-in I made using Autodesk Assistant had a bunch of issues. I went over to Claude and it worked a lot better. So you can reference the previous tutorial if you want to see how to use Autodesk Assistant, but in this one, we are going to go through how to use Claude to create these custom add-ins. So let's hop over to Fusion and run through this. You might recognize this part from the last tutorial where I was trying to figure out a way to select all internal edges so that I could fillet all of those. And in a few other designs, I realized, well, I don't want just the internal edges. I also want the external edges at some, for some designs where I want to fillet all of them with the same radius. And so I created a tool using Claude that is now up here in the toolbar. So this one is select perpendicular edges, select whatever face I want to be perpendicular to the edges, and I hit select. You can see it finds all of them, which is awesome. Go up here to fillet. Let's just type in a number 0.1 and voila, it's that easy once this tool is made. But the question is, how do you actually make this tool, and how do you make sure it's in the toolbar up here? Well, using Claude, this really isn't too bad, but there's a few sticking points that you will want to pay attention to. So let's start from the beginning. The first thing you'll do is go to Utilities, go to Add-ins, Scripts and Add-ins. You'll want to go to the plus sign, Create Script or Add-in, select Add-in. This one is just going to be a test so I can run you through a few things and help you not have the same issues that I had initially while trying to create this. Down here, it'll show you the folder location so you can see where this is going. It's very important that it's in your Autodesk Fusion 360 API add-ins, and it will default to that location. Make sure it's Python as well, operating system, Windows and Mac. That should include yours. Hit create, and here you can see test 1 is popping up just as an example so I can run you through a few things. Before we go to Claude, I think it's helpful to open the file location here, and we can scroll over. Here you can see we're in the add-ins folder. Here are the two other add-ins I've created, and here is that test one. So you can see that it automatically creates a lot of different files here, and that is going to be very important. If you just have Claude generate the add-in Python script or tool and just download that and throw it into your add-ins folder, it's not quite going to run. I ran into this issue a few moments ago when I was testing this all out. So make sure you follow the steps I just showed you so that Fusion will create this folder with all of these other files that you will need. You need the library and the commands. But the two things that you will need to pay close attention to is your names for your Python file here and your manifest file. Whatever Claude generates for you, you need to make sure that your script, which is the Python file, has the correct name here, as well as the correct name for your manifest file. If those all match, you will be in good shape. So let's go over to Claude, and you can see where if I scroll through here, you can see I went back and forth a few times with Claude. But basically what I asked it to do was to create a custom add-in for Fusion 360 that selects all of the edges perpendicular to a selected face. And then I also asked it to generate images that can be used as an icon in the toolbar. And you can see that up here, this little icon above the select title here is an icon that was just created by Claude, which is pretty handy. It makes it really easy to find it in the toolbar. You will also want to tell it, which I did later on in here, that you want this add-in to show up in the select section of your toolbar. And so if we close out of that, you can see wherever the select section is, this is showing up, as well as a previous one that I selected or that I created, which is just selecting internal perpendicular edges. There's different use cases for both of these. And as I've been working through more and more sheet metal, I've found that I actually want both of those, which is what led to this tutorial in the first place. So once you prompt Claude to create all of that, you will eventually end up with a full zip file that you can download, and I will show you what will be in that zip file. Go here, downloads, perpendicular selector, and then this is a test that it created. Not sure that that is necessary, but in this perpendicular edge selector folder, you can see it created this manifest file, which you will again want to make sure this is the name that you're using when you are looking in your actual add-ins folder. So in this case, after it creates the folder for you, you can drop in the correct manifest file, the correct script, which is a Python file, that are here. Make sure those names are correct. Claude will also produce this resources folder, which is very important because that is where your icon is going to live when Claude produces it for you. So here's the different images for that. And it produces this tools folder, which honestly I'm not quite sure what that, I don't think that is doing anything for the Fusion tool. We could actually ask Claude what that's doing. Not sure if it's necessary. I don't think it is. But the important thing is making sure that you have these named correctly, and you'll also have this README file if you want that as well. So you would just copy and paste those, drop them directly in here, and make sure again your manifest file and test file, Python file have the correct names. Keep your library, commands, all of these other files in there that are default created by Fusion when you create the new add-in, which in this case, again, was just this test folder that we did, just as an example. And so once you put all of those in, you will potentially need to restart Fusion, and you should see this new tool that you created pop up right away. So that's pretty much it. It is quite a bit easier, in my experience, to use Claude instead of this Autodesk Assistant. Maybe that's something that is going to improve over time, but having Claude write these, as long as you explain it well, it seems to work really, really efficiently. So that would be my recommendation at this time, is just default over to Claude instead of the Autodesk Assistant. Definitely keep an eye on this and see if they improve over time. I could see where it gets pretty useful to use this Autodesk Assistant embedded directly into Fusion. But right now, I don't think that is the best way to go. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope this was helpful. If there's anything that was unclear or that you want to see the specific steps for, make sure to comment that in this video and I will respond. I try to respond to every comment. You can also reach out on X if you have any questions there. So that's it for this tutorial. Make sure if you want to see more of these that you subscribe, and stay tuned for more tutorials that will be coming out very, very soon.